Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Where to Market Your Business Online podcast. This episode is a little different because I'm actually currently right now live on Instagram and Facebook doing this as a live video and also recording this for the podcast. I felt like this episode was very timely. The title of this episode is How to Manage Your Business Online, Preparing for a Post-COVID-19 World. So a lot of things are going on right now with obviously the COVID-19 and with the coronavirus, everything going on. And I just felt like this was an appropriate time to do this. I have my beliefs on the virus itself and kind of what's going on, but I know a lot of my clients and just people that I worked with in the industry and in business in general are really asking themselves, are they prepared to manage their day-to-day business operations virtually, online, digitally, manage their team digitally, et cetera, et cetera. And so I felt this episode was going to hopefully help some people out there, some businesses out there. So today we're going to cover how to manage your business online, everything from managing your team, your day-to-day operations, the different technology that I use, how to work remotely, all of that good stuff. If you're watching this on live video, feel free to leave comments along as we go. And if you're listening to the podcast, then I hope you find this very valuable. If you're watching the video, again, I hope you find this very, very valuable. So let's get into it. How to manage your business online, preparing for a post-COVID-19 world. So the first thing that we have to do in order to understand if we can manage our business online is to outline your day-to-day operations, right? I see a lot of businesses, especially small businesses, fail to do this. They fail to take the time to work on the business, to understand what are the day-to-day operations, what are the things that we're doing that need to be done, that can't be done virtually, et cetera, et cetera. So take some time to really outline all of the different day-to-day activities within your business, whether that's employee management, project coordination, etc. And we'll dig into all of those. But you're really gonna, as a business owner and key leaders within the business and the organization, take this time to take a step back and see what's going on in the online world, what's going on in your business, and how you can influence the online world in order to help you support that and actually manage your business day to day. And this doesn't have to be too complicated in order to do. You can simply do something like figure out the different activities based on buckets, right? I believe that every business has activities on two different sides of a business. One, it's internal facing, how they manage their day-to-day, their teams, etc. And then another one is their customer facing activities, their sales, their customer service, anything, shipping, logistics, anything that's customer facing. So I'm really encouraging businesses to take the time to understand what are those activities for me, what's internal activities, what's external facing activities. Write those down, write those out on a bullet list, and then choose how you're going to try to leverage digital and online channels within that. And I'll give you a bunch of tips on how to do that. One thing I would recommend too, once you start looking at the internal processes and external facing activities that you're doing in your business, you're going to want to use digital and online channels to set triggers to notify people once these activities have been done. This is going to be a huge thing on working remotely, and that's accountability. And so use systems, and I'm going to talk about those systems. Use systems for accountability, setting off triggers when a task is completed, when it's someone else's turn to do. Usually within projects, there's always preliminary activities that have to happen before the main activity happens. And so you're going to want to make sure that you're taking advantage of technology in order to do that. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to touch on here is managing the team meetings, team operations. This is one of the biggest things that I've seen as all of this has been unfolding is businesses not understanding how to manage their employees, how to manage teams, how to manage the departments in their organization. And so this is what I'm recommending. This is how me and my team is global. They're Bosnia, Philippines. I've hired people from Argentina, other places, Latin America, all over the globe. And these are the systems that I've used in order to keep projects on track, keep milestones being met, and making sure that we're actually producing content, day-to-day business activities, even though we're in different parts of the world. So for team meetings, I highly suggest that you do weekly video meetings with your team. Weekly Bi-weekly, so twice a week would be nice. And if you're going to do that, I would recommend that these meetings now become touch bases and they're only 15, maybe 30 minutes in length. But if you're going to do one weekly meeting, I would probably say that you're going to do about 30 to an hour in those weekly meetings. And the technology that we use for a lot of these video calls, one is Zoom. I really enjoy Zoom. You can get it for free, but there is also a paid feature. I think it's $15 a month, not expensive at all. And the good thing with Zoom, if you get the paid version, is you can save all of the video recordings onto the cloud. So that's always great for meeting notes, recaps, revisiting things, decisions that were made during that meeting, to-do items, action items, etc. So Zoom is a great one. Google Hangouts is another awesome one, completely free. So check out Google Hangouts for your weekly team meetings. There is other paid higher level things. GoToMeetings is another one that's similar to Zoom. I haven't used that one too much. I really enjoy the functionality of Zoom, so I use that more often. And then I would also encourage you to use, so Office 365 is another great one. This might be a little overkill for a smaller business or a smaller organization or a medium-sized business. This is more for enterprise level. I would probably say corporate level businesses. Microsoft Office 360, that helps huge though, because there's a lot of video conferencing you can do within Teams, cloud-based documents, et cetera, and we'll cover a lot more of those later on too. But using Zoom, Google Hangouts, GoToMeetings, staying in front of your team is going to be key during these times. You're also going to want to assign one person to be the note taker or the leader or the admin of these meetings. The reason why we assign one person is so we have one direct point of contact and we're not struggling to figure out where a project lands by asking a handful of people that are supposed to be on this project. So having one project manager, one project coordinator, or one note taker, one meeting note taker who's keeping track of what the decisions are being made, what was discussed, what are the next steps, any issues that need to be resolved, or anything that just needs to be top of mind when executing these projects is a big deal. I think a lot of people sleep on this, and when businesses do, their organization tends to kind of fall apart. So you definitely want to start assigning people point of contacts, right? Accountability for these folks. So making sure you have a note taker, making sure you have someone who's responsible of it, and then taking it to the next level would be to have a project coordinator or a project manager who's overseeing the overall project of it all and how things are moving forward, if they're being executed or not. So definitely look into that. Again, virtual team meetings, virtual video team meetings as well. They're going to be great for morale. As people are starting to work from home and they're getting distracted, or they're starting to organize themselves and figure out, how do I actually work from home? You don't want to lose morale by not being in communication with the team. So definitely look into that. I'm looking at the live video. We got some stuff coming in on the live video, some likes, etc. Thanks, Pamela, for tuning in. Maria, what's up? I see the Life of Agent is on Instagram. How's it going? All right. So that's going to be your team meetings. And again, consistently staying in front of your team is going to be very, very key. Under the day-to-day operations, one is going to be your team meetings. The second is going to be your project management. So this is another aspect of business where I see a lot of companies fail, is not taking the time to build out the processes and the systems of how you're going to manage projects. You have a concept, you have an idea, you have a campaign, a strategy, an advertising that you're trying to run, a new product that you're trying to launch. We get so caught up in wanting to get this out there and get this launched that we don't spend the time to actually organize ourselves and say, okay, who are the people involved? Who are the stakeholders? What do we need to do in order to get this project really taken care of? And how are we going to organize ourselves? So this is where project management comes into place. And I extremely encourage you to use a cloud-based project management software. A cloud-based project management software is going to allow you to manage your projects from anywhere, really remotely, as long as you have access to internet and you have access to the software or the website that you're using for your project management. You're going to be golden. You're going to have the ability to go in and actually do that. So The way we're going to do this is I use Basecamp. I really, really enjoy Basecamp. Hey, what's up, Carla? Joining on Instagram Live. How are you? Basecamp is one of my favorite projects to use, or project softwares to use. The thing with Basecamp though is a little expensive, and so there's other alternatives out there that you can use. Active Collab is going to be similar to Basecamp, a little bit cheaper, so a little bit more affordable on that side, but it's also it doesn't have the full functionality, and it doesn't have the full nice design and the UX of a Basecamp. And UX is just user experience. So it might be a little bit more of a learning curve for Active Collab than Basecamp, but Basecamp I really enjoy, but it gets really, really expensive. So Active Collab is a way to do that. I think that's about $20 a month. So that's really affordable. Basecamp, I think, goes up to $100 a month. I grandfathered in, so I actually got it at a free deal, which is amazing. So if you guys could ever find free deals on things, make sure you're taking advantage of it. Monday.com, I haven't used it personally, but I've heard good things about that as a project management software. Asana, Trello, all of these different project management softwares. No, in Basecamp, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the way I structure projects within Basecamp, which is a cloud-based project management software. The way I do that is I leverage the different features within Basecamp. One of them is an instant chat feature. That one we use for any instant inquiries we need regarding a project. We go into the project itself and we use the chat feature to go about doing that. The second thing that I do within that is I use the to-dos, the ability to have to-do items and a list of to-dos broken by department. So for example, if I have a product that I'm trying to launch on the web, there's going to be different teams that fall into that, right? We're going to have the creative team who's going to create the assets, the banners, the product photography, the graphic design, etc. All the assets that we need for social media, email, text message, any digital channel that we're using. So we're going to have the digital team. So I'll have the digital team and I have a list of the to-dos that they need to get done. Based on the to-do, let's say, for example, one of their to-dos is to create a banner to release this product. I will then set a trigger that says, when this design is completed, please notify X person. And that's typically the stakeholder who's going to approve the design or not. So that's automatic. So once they upload the design, automatically the software will notify the stakeholder and say, hey, the design is ready for your approval. Go check it out. Right. So these are going to be ways that you're going to automate and use systems and softwares in order to make your workflow much easier. So I use the to-dos. That's for my design team. Then I'll bring in my development team, because the development team is going to have to actually upload this and link the product and upload the product and make sure that the product is ready for purchase, et cetera, et cetera. So I use to-dos within Basecamp, the project management cloud-based software, in order to keep myself organized, my team organized, and projects moving along. There's also a feature within Basecamp to have documents, to be able to create folders, organize documents, files, etc., and you could organize them by project basis. So if you have product A launching in a month, then you can use that specific project within the management software to manage that specific product and to upload any creative assets, any documentation, any copy, content, etc. that is needed in order to get that fulfilled across. Hey, what's up, Mike on Instagram Live? It's waving hi. So project management softwares, that and cloud-based, I highly recommend cloud-based. For example, Basecamp has a mobile app you can use. Active Collab has a mobile app you can use. I believe Monday.com does as well. And so I highly encourage you to use cloud-based project management softwares to keep the day-to-day operations of your company going. And the reason why cloud-based really works out well is, one, you can access it from anywhere as long as you have a device that you can connect to the internet and you have the application or web capabilities. You can go in there. But the second, once it's cloud-based, it auto saves for you. So if you're working on a document, you're working on a project, you're working on something, you got to go, or something crashes, your system crashes, your internet crashes, whatever it is, it's going to save it on the cloud and you're going to be set correctly. Time and time again, I've seen organizations work not on a cloud base, and when things crash, everything crashes and disappears, and it's a huge headache for everyone. So make sure that you're looking into cloud-based project management. Awesome. So we have your team meetings, we have your project management, and now I want to talk about document creation and collaboration, because document creation is a huge aspect of project management, right? Creating Word docs, Excels that you're sharing with the team, PowerPoints, etc., etc. And so use your cloud-based document creation and tools like these in order to keep you going. So what I love to use is Google Docs and Google Drive. It's completely free, up to 15 gigs. And if you're just managing Word documents, PowerPoint presentation, Excel sheets, you're never going to hit the 15 gigs unless you're obviously managing either a lot of picture, video, or heavy files, which typically most businesses are not. So I recommend Google Drive. That's one of my favorites. One of my favorite features on there is I can be in one Excel sheet or one Google sheet, and my team member can be in that same sheet, and I know where they're at, and we can work simultaneously. So we can divide and conquer projects or softwares or sheets, etc., together. And that's huge, especially when you're working remote, because you have people working from home. They might be working on the same document, and it's nice to see who's currently live on that document and what they can be doing in order so you're not double working or messing up someone else's work. All right. Microsoft 365 also has cloud-based capabilities for your documents. I highly recommend that. But again, that's a little bit more enterprise level, so it might cost you a little bit more, but it's still a great technology. I would also then, so Basecamp has the chat feature built in, but if you decide to use something like Google Docs, Asana, Monday.com, etc., and they don't have an instant chat feature, I highly recommend that you find something to have that instant chat feature. Now, don't make this too complicated. This could be something as simple as Skype, just having your employees all in Skype, and they can quickly chat with each other right off the bat, just to make sure that they know kind of what's going on, and they can ask each other those rapid fire questions. Those rapid fire questions that typically happen when you walk over to a cubicle of someone, or you go to someone's office and you say, hey, I have a quick question on this project. So using those chats, you can use Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, you can use Skype, Microsoft 365 Teams, Slack, the chat feature in Basecamp. There's a plethora of this technology out there, but make sure you're taking advantage of it, because again, that's going to be great for your instant communication and those one-off questions that you have. Awesome. Let's see what else we got covered on this. I highly recommend to find the software, and that's why I recommend Basecamp so much, that has a lot of this different, multiple features to it. That's why I recommend it. Google Drive is not going to be the best for project management, only because it doesn't have the ability to do to-do items and to do accountability and to do triggers. Basecamp does. Google Drive, however, has a great capability for managing documents. In Basecamp, you can also manage documents, but it's not as seamless. So you might want to find a balance of the two, using, one or two different technologies to help you move things along. But if you can find one like a Basecamp, I would just encourage you to keep using just one to house everything together. So try to find a solution that has multiple features in it. I highly recommend that. It's just going to make your life much easier. I always recommend to keep your tech stack fairly lean. There's no need to add so much technology to it that you're going to complicate your life and your organization. So let's go with that. Part of your weekly meetings and your video meetings is you're going to want a consistent agenda for your meetings. One of the biggest things that I see happen, especially when people go remote and they start doing these video calls, is people lose track of the meeting, right? It becomes counterproductive. They don't get much done or discussed. There's no action items that are taken, vice versa, right? I mean, things just happen because you're working from home. You're not as focused as you could be. So take a template and create weekly meeting kind of template to it. So this is how my template is broken up on a weekly basis. First thing when we kick off a meeting is what we call a segue. And the segue is to simply change your perspective on, we're not working in the business right now, we're working on the business. So let's go ahead and leave distractions away. Let's get in the right mindset of this meeting is in order to help improve, facilitate, or optimize whatever it is that we're doing. So that's your segue. It should only last 5 minutes. And that's just people turning off phones, flipping papers around so they're not distracted, and just getting to focus at the matter at hand, which is your business. So that's is going to be your segue. After that, you're going to want to review what's the overall goal that we're trying to get here. So ideally, you should have goals with the company, whether it's sales goals, it's customer service related goals, whatever that is. Have a list of the goals that you're looking to accomplish within 90 days. And we review this again, 5 minutes. We don't look and see if the goal makes sense or not at this time. This is already predetermined before. We're just keeping that type of mind. Whenever we have the meeting, we know what we're striving for and what we're looking for. After that, we have any customer, and that takes about 5 minutes as well. After that, we have customer highlights or business highlights. Here I allow my team and other people in the company to say some good news about personal or business or both, ideally. This is going to, again, put you in the right mindset of, hey, right now we're limiting all distractions and we're working on the business. So I would highly recommend that. And then finally, within that, you're going to have your to-dos. These are high-level bullet points on what that week is bringing, what you're looking to get accomplished in that week. And now these are simple things like launch this new beta test, or call the printers, or reorganize customer service, whatever that is. This isn't about, make $1 million sale, right? These are things that need to get accomplished within a 7-day window, but having those written down will allow you for accountability the next week that you meet and you look at that same agenda and you said, hey, we had this to-do item for a week. It didn't get done. Is it going to get done? Is it going to get pushed back or not, etc.? So really staying on top of that. Then the final thing you want to do is a quick conclusion. That's going to help you. Actually, before the conclusion, I almost forgot. You want to identify any issues, problems that you currently have right now, so that the organization is currently facing. So it could be lack of budget, lack of resources, blah, 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 blah. You want to list those out, and you want to spend a majority of your time discussing those issues and finding solutions for it. So by the end of the meeting, you have discussed your to-dos, you have identified any issues that might be lingering, you have changed your perspective and really started working on the business, and concluded with action items that are clear and understanding of what to expect in 7 days when you re-meet, when you reconvene with your team. So make sure that you're having a weekly agenda for these meetings, because it's going to be extremely, extremely important. So awesome. That's how I would recommend a business to manage their day-to-day operations with their team and their day-to-day operations within projects that's going on. So that way business is not coming to a halt while we're working from home, while we're working more remotely. The second thing I wanted to chat with you guys about and give you this advice on is to don't stop serving your customers right now. I know there's businesses out there that are more traditional businesses, physical businesses, retailers, service providers, etc. Just because you can't see your customers face to face right now doesn't necessarily mean that you should stop serving them. If anything, they're probably in more of need of your service now more than ever. Granted, you're not going to be able to do a lot of the things that you would do on a normal face-to-face level, but you are going to be able to, again, service them in certain ways. And this is how I'm going to suggest. I'm going to suggest that you use digital content to support, educate, and guide your customers through whatever pain point they're going through, whatever problem they're trying to solve. So a business, and I have the perfect example of a chiropractor. So a business is typically here to to solve a problem, right? To give you a solution to your issue, whether your back hurts or you just need more clothes, whatever that issue is, a business is here to solve it. And right now, because things are going more remote, I'm encouraging my clients and businesses out there to really start leveraging digital channels to continue to educate, inform, and be there for their customers. So my example here is with the chiropractor. Actually, before that example, some of the things you can use is you can use social channels to keep educating them. So social groups, Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, building a little bit of a community in order so you can keep educating them and helping them out. YouTube channels are perfect for this because they're going to be one landing page of pure video content that you can throw content, videos out there, informational stuff for your customers to come see. So really, really leverage that. A lot of the businesses and business owners I know, obviously going through this right now, have a little bit more time on their hands, right? Because a lot of their day to day and their one-on-one the one-on-one and the physical aspect of their business is shut down right now. And so therefore they have the ability to start creating more content now. So definitely get in front of that. So my example here is with the chiropractor. I was actually just talking to the chiropractor this morning. I went to the chiropractor and we were talking about how this is affecting them. And obviously things have slowed down because there's not as many people coming in to see the chiropractor. However, there's still people out there that he has been servicing for the past year or so who are still dealing with their pains, their issues, etc. And I encouraged him to use digital channels, digital marketing, digital communication right now to really be there for them. So think of the issues that they're trying to solve. Is it low back pain? Maybe he creates some content on how to stretch at home, how to use home equipment, home gear, home techniques in order to help improve your lower back pain, your mobility, your stretching, etc. These folks are still going through these things. And so businesses out there, you should be thinking about the content that you can be creating and communicating that's going to help your customer base. So again, back to the chiropractor example, if you're helping people out with sore backs, knee issues, etc., think to yourself, what are some things that are safe for these folks to do at home? How could I then educate them, communicate that out, and then make sure that I'm sharing it with them? My chiropractor here in town, they do text message marketing, email marketing, and then they're pretty active on social media. So they can create that content, text out a link to it, to a YouTube video, email out a link to it, and post it on their social. And also, even if they have certain customers that are calling in about these issues, they can then refer them to the YouTube page or to different pages on their site in order to learn more about that. And again, keeping that going. Now, another thing with consistently creating this content, not only to help customers right now while we're all going through this is also going to set you up to stay in front of customers for when we go back to business as usual, back to people being able to come into office spaces, come into stores, come into this, come into that. Having this content created for you is going to keep you top of mind of customers. And when we're all back to business as usual, they're going to come to you because you've been helping them out this whole time. So again, it's really about just servicing your customer, being there for them, and being that trusted source of information for them. So I highly encourage you to keep going, only because you can't serve your customers physically right now, or maybe things have slowed down. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to slow down and that you have to keep helping them, because communication is a massive aspect of any business. And therefore, if you can still keep communicating digitally, it's going to be extremely beneficial. Awesome. So far we've covered how to manage teams and projects virtually, the different tech stack that I recommend, the different processes, meeting agendas, constant communication channels, etc. We also talked about serving the customer still, being in front of them with digital, communicating how we can help them, etc. And the last thing I wanted to really dive into now is analyzing the functions of your business and where digital can help. Again, this is, I don't know if it's the silver lining or what it is, but with all of this going on, this is the perfect time to reevaluate your business, your organization, your systems, your team. Are the people in place, the right people in place? Are the systems we have in place, are the right in place? And I also feel like this has shoved the future in our face really quickly, right? It is really challenging businesses to leverage current communication channels, current technologies and softwares to run their business. And typically organizations or business owners don't do this because they're too busy with the day-to-day. Well, guess what? The day-to-day just got flipped on its head. It's completely different now. And so it's time to reevaluate and reanalyze. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to encourage businesses to take a step back, look at the teams, look at your day-to-day processes, activities, tasks, rate them, figure out what's the most profitable activities you're doing, what's the most effective, what's the highest earning activities that you're doing, and start categorizing what's really needed and what's not. Once you have that, take time to do a high level documentation on these activities. So what I mean by this is your SOPs, right? Your standard of procedures, your processes, your systems. Let's say one of your main activities was to consistently communicate with prospects, right? Cold calling or prospect generating. Great. That most likely is a very high valued activity. If you're not prospecting, you're not generating leads, you're not generating customers. So that's high level there. So we'll take time now to see, well, how are we doing this? Are we doing door knocking? Are we doing cold calling? Are we doing digital? Are we doing physical activities? Look at what you're doing and then ask yourself, how can we leverage online channels in order to make this better, to improve this? So if you're doing prospecting cold calling, well, what if you add a digital element of prospecting through LinkedIn connections and sending them video messages, content, information that's valuable to them? But now you can do that remotely. You can do that from a laptop anywhere, from a desktop anywhere. You don't necessarily have to be in the office on a certain phone line making certain calls. If you're doing physical prospecting, again, how can I leverage digital to amplify this, to improve this, to make this more efficient and effective, etc.? These are the questions you're going to want to ask yourself. And business owners out there, businesses out there, these are the questions that you should be asking yourself anyways. The only thing now is that it's pressing right now. It's extremely urgent right now. And so therefore these questions are more top of mind than ever. So check those out. I would also then encourage you to use Google Docs, Google Drives, and a software called Loom to start creating detailed documentation and training documents for these processes and for these activities. Let me explain. If part of your business activity is prospecting, you're probably going to have a number of team members who are doing prospecting. You might have a lead who is the lead in that team, the sales team. And so they need to communicate out to their sales folks how to execute certain things, how we run certain things, etc. Using Google Docs to create shareable cloud-based documents, Word docs, Excels, PowerPoints, etc., along with a software called Loom, Loom, which allows you to do video recording, screen recording, and it allows you to upload while also share with a link to people. So it'll host a video for you, and they'll provide you a link, and you can text that link, you can email that link, you can hyperlink certain text within a document with that. And then as soon as they click on the link, they go directly to that video and then they can watch it. So using technology like this to create those high level standards of procedures, your processes, standard of operations. You can do this this doesn't have to be complicated. A lot of businesses complicate this. You have an SOW or an SOP, a standard of procedures document that's 30 pages long, 40 pages long. You can do 1-2 pages. You don't have to get that complicated with it. And Loom is going to allow you to do video tutorials and share them much easier. So I highly recommend that. Awesome. Another key aspect here of understanding the functions of the business and managing them is you're going to want to centralize everything. You're going to want to centralize communication. You're going to want to centralize systems, the way people do things, the way people manage. So making sure that whatever system that you pick, the entire organization should really be bought into it. They should be all hands on deck with it, and they should be leveraging it in every team, in every department, every aspect of it. The reason why is going to centralize all the information and all the projects going on. Therefore, there's visibility in what people are doing for accountability and for the sake of double work, because we don't want to do double work. So making sure that you're centralizing the whole company's kind of standard operations in one software. This is also going to allow you to start setting up backups for people when they're not able to come into the office, right? So right now, a lot of folks are working from home. A lot of people are working remote. Sometimes a certain job has to be in the office. It has to be physical. You need to talk to certain people. You need to touch certain products. You need to just be in there physically. And so having these standards of operations mapped out and planned out, you're able to share that with people so they can come in and support folks when they're not around. So make sure that you're using this in order to be able to prepare backups, because again, if this happens, if another global pandemic or something of this nature happens where it really disrupts business as usual, you're going to want to have some backups in order for people to come in and be able to pick up the slack. Make sure that you're updating your systems and preparing for a post-pandemic business world. So what's going to happen is, and again, I'm very, very optimistic about this, is that things are going to eventually come back to business as usual. Things are going to be changed. There's going to be some updates, and just overall the world is going to change based on what we're experiencing right now. But make sure that you're setting yourself up for that, for when the gates open up and the flood of folks come in and are ready to do business with you. If you're not making the changes right now, if you're not taking the time to review at a high level your business, your systems, your projects, your team, your overall execution on day to day, when the day comes that we're back to normal, you're going to find yourself in a bit of a hole or catching up to the new changes. So that's kind of the last thing I wanted to leave you off with, is that making sure that you're taking the time right now to plan for when all of this goes away. Well, I hope that you guys found that valuable. This is things that I live on a day-to-day. These are things that I help clients with. I organize my own team this way. And so I just felt that I was in the right place to provide some valuable information for you guys out there, and hopefully be able to help you manage your business right now as things are consistently changing and consistently evolving as this whole virus and pandemic starts to unfold. Awesome. Again, I hope you found some valuable information out of it. If you have any questions or feedback about this episode, or any just thoughts on how you would go about managing your business online, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me on Instagram at JayQuiroz. That's Jayquiros on Instagram. The website is Jayquiros as well, JayQuiroz.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Jose J. Quiros. Any of those places you can reach out to me for any feedback, questions, etc. If you found this useful, feel free to subscribe to the podcast. That's the only reason why I started this podcast, was to be able to share some of this information and try to help businesses out there really leverage the online channel, the online world and the online channels for their business. So leave a rating and review if you found this valuable, and subscribe if you find this valuable as well. Thanks, guys. Jose Quiros, digital marketing and e-commerce expert, and I'm just hoping that I was able to help you just a little bit with this episode. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and we'll chat very, very soon.